Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source. It's the backup channel backing Celeb up and bringing you all the breaking news. Oh boy, Christmas Eve is finally here. If you celebrate Christmas, then Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, then Happy Kwanzaa. If you celebrate Hanukkah, then Happy Hanukkah. And if you don't celebrate nothing, then Happy Nothing to you. Let's get into it. During her testimony in the People vs. Tory Lanez shooting trial, Megan Thee Stallion has had a lot to say. For example, she said, quote, "There's not a day that goes by where somebody is not calling me a liar or is not shaming me for being a grown woman and having sex. This whole story has not been about the shooting. It's only been about who is Tory having sex with. I don't understand why that matters." End quote. Megan also said, quote, "I wish he would have just shot and killed me rather than to have to go through this torture." End quote. Well, Megan also said, quote, "Every man in a position of power in the music industry has taken Tory Lanez's side." End quote. Look, I don't know what's going on nowadays. It's almost like people didn't go to elementary school where they taught you words like some, a few, many. Some men have taken his side. A few men have taken his side. Many men have taken his side. But not all men, Megan. We got to be a little bit more clear when we start making these blanket statements. Well, with that being said, one man who is definitely not taking Tory's side is Megan Thee Stallion's boyfriend, Partisan Pardee Fontaine. Partisan is an artist and songwriter in his own right, and not only is he standing by his woman's side, but he's also decided to speak out against injustice against all women. Partisan took to Instagram on Thursday and posted, quote, "To any woman, especially ones of color, that has suffered an injustice, I feel for you. When you do find the courage to speak up, it seems you will be ridiculed. Your credibility will be questioned. Your entire past will be held under a magnifying glass in an instant. You can go from victim to defendant in the eyes of the public. To anyone with a daughter, sister, mother, niece, or aunt, I pray for their protection. I pray for their covering. I wouldn't wish this on anyone." End quote. I think Party's words are very positive, and I appreciate him for saying that, because a lot of women who have suffered injustices out there need some encouragement, especially from members of the opposite sex. Well, with that being said, I find what Party said to be very interesting, because if you remember, when Megan got on the stand, she said that Party was embarrassed by having to hear about her sexual exploits in the trial coverage. If you recall, when she was talking, she said, quote, "I feel disgusted. I feel dirty. My own partner is embarrassed." Listen, I gotta say this real quick, and I'm gonna use one of those elementary school words that I was talking about. Most people understand that Meg Thee Stallion is the victim, right? And most people would not even be talking about her sex life had she not gone on Gayle King and lied about what she was doing. Sure, many people might have remarked about it, but most people would have moved on in 1 or 2 days. And more likely than not, most people would not be questioning Megan Thee Stallion's credibility. Listen, I wish that Megan Thee Stallion had come and talked to me before she went on Gayle King, because I'd have told her it's better to be thought of as a truthful hoe than it is to be thought of as a lying heifer. Listen, I'm so sick of this story. I don't even want to talk about Megan Thee Stallion anymore. But I do think that we can use this as a learning lesson. So young ladies, if you're out there, listen to me clearly. I'm going to give you a piece of advice. It is better to think about your reputation before you get into the bed with somebody, as opposed to thinking about it after you get out of the bed with somebody. And let's just say you did hook up with somebody who you're not too proud about. You know what? Do a Kim K, put your head up in the air, and keep moving on. Nothing to be ashamed about. What's done is done. Put that dusty ninja in the rear view and hit the gas. But learn from those mistakes. And really quick, that goes for men too. Listen, on to the next story. Buffalo, New York rapper Benny the Butcher says he supports violent, drug-riddled rap music 100%. In a PSA posted on his Instagram stories, Benny the Butcher said, quote, "Most people who say rap is violent or don't like rappers talking about drugs will not listen to that same rapper if he or she makes what they deem to be positive music. So shut the F up and leave it to the people who like it." End quote. Yo, who is Benny talking to? Because I gotta tell you, I'll take some Bonita Apple Bum any day before some of this rap music that's out here nowadays. Listen, I think Benny's getting a little confused. The issue is not that we're saying that rappers cannot talk about issues related to the streets. Most critics of today's hip-hop are saying that when the only stories that are being played on repeat are about drugging, thugging, and effing, it gets a little tired because you are inundating us with this negativity over and over again. What today's rappers are doing lacks creativity and it lacks diversity. And let me see if I can give you an example. When Slick Rick dropped Children's Story, he was talking about the streets, but the song was so creative that we couldn't help but enjoy it. When Eminem dropped Stan, he was talking about mental illness, but we were bopping our heads to that song because of this man's creativity and ingenuity. When Busta Rhymes dropped Put Your Hands Where Your Eyes Can See, people's necks almost broke because they were bouncing them back and forth so hard. Why? Because the song was a banger. And don't even let me start rattling off songs by people like Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper, LL Cool J, The Ghetto Boys, Brand Nubian, KRS-One, Nice and Smooth, Ice Cube, The Fugees, Camp Lo, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Common, Missy, and EPMD. Listen, I could go on forever. And even when our dudes like Wu-Tang, you know what I'm saying, and Mobb Deep even talked about the street, it wasn't the same thing over and over and over again. Percocet, Molly, Percocet, Molly, Percocet, Molly. Listen, I can't even take it anymore. I tell you what, you know the movie Field of Dreams where they say, if you make it, they will come? How about this? How about you rappers start making some positive music and see if we come out and support it? Jeez, let us have a choice. Say, you can get with this or you can get with that. But I think you get with this because this is where it's at. So yo, you guys remember the judge Janice Brinkley who sentenced MeekMill to 4 years in prison for doing a wheelie on a dirt bike, and then she gave him like probation forever? You know, the one that asked MeekMill to record a cover of the Boyz II Men hit On Bended Knee and asked him to give her a shout out on the track? Well, this chick is back in the news because apparently Meek was right. She seems to be very off. And Meek wasn't the only person she was abusing her power with. The 66-year-old judge has recently been transferred from the criminal court to civil court, and all of her pending criminal cases are under review, and 50 of her cases were actually terminated by another judge over the course of 2 days because of her pattern of misconduct, behavior, and questionable rulings, including illegal sentences. Brinkley is, of course, fighting the transfer to the lower court because she says it's an unfair demotion, but it looks like it's a done deal. Listen, I'm really glad that they caught this chick, okay? And I'm really glad that they demoted this chick, and she should actually be removed from the bench. She shouldn't be able to rule on anybody's cases because she is not competent, okay? And I can't imagine how many people this chick has locked up that did not deserve to be locked up. They actually need to switch it around. She needs to be locked up because you can't be doing whatever you want just because you're on the bench. Listen, people who commit crimes, yes, they deserve to be in jail, but there's a whole bunch of people sitting in jail right now who never did nothing, and they don't deserve to be there, but they were put there because the judge was biased or the jury was biased and they ignored the facts. Hey yo, if you're sitting in jail right now and you did not commit that crime, you are in my prayers because it is totally unfair. Listen, I'd be very interested to see what MeekMill has to say about this chick. And yo, really quick, as I'm talking about this MeekMill story, it made me think about the guy. This guy was like 34 years old. His name was Jacobia Grimes, right? And he was charged with a felony theft in New Orleans a couple of years ago because he stole some candy bars from a convenience store. They actually tried to give this dude 20 years to life because he had a prior record. Luckily, a public defender who cared about this guy took the case and made sure that they weren't able to lock him up forever. But geez, you mean to tell me you were really gonna give this dude 20 years to life for stealing a few Kit Kats and a Snicker? The system is crazy. But while we're talking about the system, we might as well talk about the Young Thug case really quick. Once again, Wack100 has weighed in and shared his opinions on the situation. And Wack100 says that he believes Gunna set up the play because had Gunna not said that YSL was a gang, Young Thug would not get a potential 50 years to life. Check out what Wack100 had to say.
Gunna set the play up. When he identified it as a gang, it was over.
Wack, you think Gunna could look Thug in the face and snitch on this man?
Man,
he already did.
He did that shit without Thug in the court. When he get on the stand, he gonna have to look Thug in the eye and say what he said.
Hey, bro, let me explain something to you, bro. That man ain't about none of that.
Talk to him.
That man give him his freedom. If he don't, they gonna press play, and then he going in there. So you think he gonna run that risk?
Listen, I gotta tell you, I do not agree with Wack100 in this case because I had a chance to watch the hearings that are online, and not only does the state have wiretaps, video surveillance, and the gang suppression unit was on these dudes for like 5 years, but these dudes were all in the court calling YSL a gang, and it didn't have anything to do with Gunna. And when one of the attorneys were like, listen, we can't call this a gang, the judge was like, listen, we all know it's a gang, but when the jury comes in, we'll use a different term for it. And then everybody in the courtroom laughed and they moved on, right? So if Young Thug goes down, I mean, what Gunna said might be icing on the cake, but that's not gonna be what takes him down if he does go down. And let me say this really quick. It doesn't help that you got 26 dudes saying we were not part of a gang, yet all of them seem to have face tattoos. They got YSL over their face. Listen, juries aren't stupid, okay? They're not gonna think that that is couture and that is for Yves Saint Laurent. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, give me a break. Listen, let me give you guys some advice. Stop tattooing your face with little doodlies and circles and numbers and stuff, okay? The squiggly lines and the 6ix9ines and all type of stuff on your face. It's not a good look. And if you ever get hemmed up, it's not gonna bode well for you. But what do I know? You know what I'm saying? And let me say this, because it's not all looking bad for Young Thug, because I don't know what the state is over there doing. These dudes tried to qualify an expert in forensic photo enhancement, right? And they brought this dude up on the stand, right? And they're asking this dude about his qualifications, and my man basically had no qualifications. And when they asked him, they're like, what are your protocols for enhancing images? My man was basically like, listen, I make them bigger. And they're like, listen, no, what are your protocols? He's like, I divide the picture in 4 and I make it bigger. Right? So then they're like, okay, how do we know that you have not altered any of these images if you do not use any guidelines? And my man was like, you can look at them and tell me. So then they're like, do you use any special programs when you're enhancing these photos? And my man was like, yeah, I use Photoshop. Listen, the defense attorney sent that dude packing. Hey yo, we just got in some breaking news. Tory Lanez has been found guilty on all charges for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. According to reports, absolute pandemonium broke out in the courtroom after Tory Lanez was led away in handcuffs. After the verdict was read, Tory's dad leaped out of his chair and shouted, "This is a wicked system." He also shouted at the prosecutors saying, quote, "You two, you are wicked, you are evil," end quote. On the other end of the spectrum, Megan's team was elated, and her attorney, Alex Shapiro, said, quote, "The jury got it right. I am thankful there is justice for Meg," end quote. Listen, I guess all that's left now is to see how many years they give Tory, or to see if he gets deported back to his country. But listen, the jury has spoken, and I'm glad to see that Megan got her justice. She got her vindication, because when the jury speaks, the jury speaks. So if he shot her, he shot her. They found him guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt, and now he needs to serve out his time for committing the crime. But at the end of the day, nobody wins because, one, she should have never got shot in the foot. Two, this is another black man being put in jail because he did something stupid. You know what I'm saying? His son is going to lose having his father around every day. You know what I'm saying? So there's really, even if you support Meg, there's nothing to be happy about in this situation. I pray for everybody, and I hope we get all of our acts together because all of this stuff really makes no sense. Tory Lanez was basically sitting on top of the world. He was doing what he loved to do. He was making money, and he was free. And that's important if you're a black man in America. Look, you gotta understand that one snap decision can take all of that away from you. And if you really want to keep it real, this is really a situation where hoeing around goes wrong, okay? Because if Tory Lanez had not slept with Kelsey and then smashed her friend and then gone to the pool party trying to get in Kylie Jenner's pants, none of this would have happen, okay? And then the other thing too is if you're going to a friendly pool party, why are you bringing the gun? Leave the gun at home. Geez, learn how to just have some fun. It's a hot mess. But listen, I can't even deal with it anymore. Thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and have a happy holiday. Peace.